We are live. Here we go. Now, fingers crossed this is all working okay. Thank you for joining me. It's Hugh from Financially Free by 40, and I'm here with Guy from Match Betting Guy, and we're going to tackle your questions about match betting. So for those of you that are new to this, I just want to quickly introduce Guy. He won't be joining the screen for kind of confidentiality reasons, but Guy, are you okay just to give a 30-second intro to you and what you're about?
Yeah, sure. So, as you know, I run the match betting site, www.matchbettingguy.com, where I basically blog about the match betting that I do. I started back in November, and since then I've sort of been building it up, exploiting new offers. And sort of, I try to talk about it regularly, and I'm trying to encourage more people to sort of get into match betting because it's a great way to earn some side income. And Hugh has generously offered to field some questions from you guys, and hopefully we'll encourage some more people to start.
Absolutely, and we messed up the start for the last one. I think we're okay. I'm trying to actually frantically find it now, which I'll pass it. I'll ask the first question, and I'll check in to see if we've got the comments up and running. But hopefully this one will be working okay. So the first question is from Craig, and there are some links here, Guy. There are some questions that have come through which have got like a theme. And Craig asks, I'd be interested to know how many friends or family Guy helps, and also what are his expected earnings if he wasn't guided by any friends or family through the offers. So I think this is with regards to having more than one account and what the realistic earnings are for having multiple accounts. So Guy, what are your thoughts?
So I think I'll give a bit of a background to this question. Going to say there's a definite theme, and a lot of people on sort of the match betting forums and whatever will occasionally ask this question, and it sort of gets shot down in all of the professional groups. So just to be clear, running multiple sets of accounts is not okay. It's going to be against all the rules from all the bookmakers. However, what people will often talk about doing is helping friends and family. So essentially, you've got your set of accounts and you're placing your bets, and then sat next to you might be your partner on her laptop running the exact same bets. You're telling her, right, I'm placing this bet on this horse, and they place that bet on that horse as well. That would be helping someone run their set of accounts. Normally, what would happen is you would take a payment or a percentage cut of all the money that the person you are helping run their set of accounts. So they would give you a certain amount of their profit. So it's a very grey area because it said actually running the accounts as someone else is going to be against the bookmaker terms. However, there's nothing wrong with helping someone else, suggesting what bets to do. I mean, if you look at any sort of racing website or even just a normal national newspaper, every weekend you'll see people talking about, I think this horse is going to do very well in the Grand National, go place a bet on it. I think it's really well priced. So that is a racing tip. That is someone helping you to place bets. It's the sort of same thing as to what a lot of the match bettors doing. So everybody knows anyone who does this full time has to be helping a lot of people. There's just no way you're going to make £5,000 in a month without helping people, because there's just not that many offers on. So I think if you were to run a single set of accounts, just your account alone, doing all the recurring offers, this is after you've done the sign-up offers, you're probably going to make maybe £500 to £1,000 a month, I think, on your dedicated set of accounts, which if you go back and look at all of the profit and losses I've posted in previous months, that was me, up until about January, February time. After that, that's why I started helping other people. I currently help a few people, but I also do my match betting coaching as well. So these are other people where I will do a screen share with them and I'll say, this looks like a good match, place a bet on that. And that's probably been about sort of 10 people or so over the past sort of 6 months or so. So I don't know whether that really answers the question. It sort of gives a background as to how you would do it and how not to do it. So I wrote a blog post about this specifically, sort of safety measures for if you were going to do it. this is the things you need to consider so that the bookmakers don't think you are just running these accounts all by yourself, because obviously you're not, and you don't want to be doing that, and so you don't want them to think you're doing that.
Absolutely. So going back to Craig's question of how many friends or family you help a few is your answer. But if you weren't to help anyone and you were just going on yourself, you think it's realistic enough to think 500 to £1,000 a month is doable for most people on one account?
Yeah. Yes, I think so. And the other thing as well is the more people you help, it's sort of a diminishing returns because of the time and effort and the complexity of the bets that you're able to do for each of them. So a nice easy bet was just bet 20 and we'll give you a free 20 is going to take you the same time to do all of them, for instance. But where you've got complicated casino ones with 30 times rollovers and a slot machine which takes 5 seconds per spin, and unless you've got the computing power to have that running across multiple accounts all at the same time, it's going to take about 3 hours per person to run through that offer. So it is a bit of a diminishing return. I wouldn't recommend someone rushes out and gets 10, 20 friends and family all at once, because you're just going to get completely swamped. You're going to forget where you've got money. It's going to be a nightmare tracking everything. And the time it takes to track all of those bets obviously gets exponentially more complicated as well.
Yeah, I think you've answered that well. Personally, I still haven't worked out how to get my the comments up on YouTube. I tried a moment ago and the video went live and it was talking over, so I was, oh shit, so I'll close it down. So I'll go back in and have a look in a moment. But please let us know if you are watching this live, if Guy hasn't answered it the way you like, or you want to kind of counter any of that, please let me know. I'll work out how to do it shortly, and I'll feed that back to Guy. The second question, I'm going to read through it because I want to give people the knowledge that I've received that question as well, but it's along similar lines. And this is from Richard, and he's asked, I'd be interested to hear about how Guy handles multiple accounts, which you went on to, and your thoughts on the legality of doing this. Having 2 accounts, i.e. you and your spouse, is one thing, but having multiple accounts is a great area. In some research I've done on the subject recently, I came across cases where people have been given custodial sentences for running such accounts. Both myself and my wife have accounts, but and get nowhere near what Guy says he's getting. Therefore, I can only assume he has quite a few accounts. So I think from reading that, is there anything you wanted to touch on that from the legality side of Guy? But I think otherwise you've pretty much answered that.
So I'm not a lawyer, so I can't give anyone legal advice. So my understanding would be, even if one of the bookies was to come after you effectively for doing it, it would be a civil case, not a criminal case. So essentially, they'd be looking to recover their costs, which is all you can do in a civil case. You can't really give punitive damages. So their costs would be the amount of money that they paid out to you, for instance, and that would be the amount that they sort of be looking to come after you for. As I said, the reason why none of the groups really talk about it is because it is a grey area. It's not very well publicised, and no one really, knows one way or the other. I always fall back to the way I say it, that if you look in any newspaper, there are racing punters there who give their tips, and you could pay a subscription service to go and get access to other racing tips, and they are doing the exact same thing of telling you what bets to place. I think this is a good bet. Go put money on this bet. If you're helping friends and family, you're doing the exact same thing. You are advising them what bets to place. What you can't do, and what would probably be sort of more deemed as fraud, is if you were to call up one of the betting companies and go through their security checks as the other person. If you were to, you haven't got free bets, so you called them up and you said, hi, my name's Joe Bloggs. That's not okay, because you are impersonating someone else there. That's fraud. You're not helping someone. You could call up and say, hi, I'm calling on behalf of so-and-so who's nervous on the phone or whatever. They're sat next to me. I'll relay the information. That would be acceptable because you're acting as their agent in that case, and you've alerted the other person that that's what you're doing.
Okay.
So, I don't know if I answered, but I mean, I'm not a lawyer, and it's very difficult to get any information on this, as I'm sure other people will realise, because nobody talks about it.
For obvious reasons.
Yes.
It's a difficult one, but no, I think you've answered that well. I wanted to block that question together because I think it's somewhat related to Craig's first question. Going on to something you mentioned on the first question, which was having multiple accounts. and when to do that. I think your advice is spot on as well. I've only been doing it for, this is my 3rd month now, and I'm at the stage now where I feel I'd be in a position where I could look at doing that. And I've got family members, for example, where they're not in the financial situation I am, and I really like to help them. And I think this is a really good way to go about doing that. I don't think they'll want to get into it, kind of the nitty gritty of it, but I think if I can help them and show them how to do that, and just, you know, give them some encouragement, and I think we could both work out something and make that work. But I plan on doing that, you know, like one at a time. Like you said, I don't want to get carried away, and I've got my own to run. I think it will get quite complicated if you start adding 2, 3, and 4. So if you are looking to do it, you know, just try and go the straight route as much as you can, and I would encourage you to take your time with it. That's my own thoughts on it anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. And also you have to remember that the more bets you've got on at once, the more your liability is. So the more your exchange account would have to happen. So if you were to assist friends and family, one way to keep things simpler is just to have a single exchange account that you're placing all the lay bets on, because they're just lay bets. There's no need to have multiple S Markets or Betfair exchange accounts. You can place all your lay bets all in one place.
Okay, that's really useful. Thank you, Guy. All right, we'll move on to the next set of questions, which this is slightly different actually, and this is from Adam. Adam has left several questions, so thank you, Adam. The first one is, has he blocked the software called, I don't know the name of this, but Eisner? I-E-S. Eisner.
I call it Eisner. Yes, absolutely. So Eisner is a sort of like a mini program that gets downloaded to your computer when you visit certain websites. And essentially what it does is it talks back to say what websites you're on and what websites you've been on. Bookmakers say that they use it to give you, relevant advertisement, or just for their demographics. What's the word? Demographics. That's the one. For that, what they're actually doing is they're looking to see if you're flicking between their site and an exchange site, or lots and lots of bookmaker sites. And essentially, if you land on, say, William Hill, and they look at your history and they say he's gone to Paddy Power, he's then gone to Betfair, he's then gone to S Markets, he's then gone to Coral, they know what you're doing, and they know that you're either a match better or you're what they call a sharp punter, so someone who knows what they're doing and who's going to cost the bookmakers money rather than make them money. So yes, one of the first things you should do once you start getting multiple accounts is do a bit of research. Just Google Eisner, because there's whole documents, pages of blogs posts talking about it and how to block it. It's very difficult to stop it getting installed onto your computer, because it just the way that it comes down through your browser. But what you do is you block it from talking back in, so it can't give them any results. And once you've blocked it, there's an easy test you do. You just try and ping one of the websites, and it just gets bounced straight back again at your own computer. So yes, definitely look at blocking it.
Okay, I'll be honest, I've never heard of it, and I'm just going to counter a question which I think might come up, because you said there, if you're looking to do, the multiple account route and helping friends and family, should you not be doing that anyway? Should you not be doing that if you're starting to go into match betting?
So if you are helping out friends and family, and I talk about this in my most recent post, you need to do more than just blocking Eisner, because there are other ways that they will check, and they will think that you're just one person running multiple accounts. Do you want to run through that quickly for those people that haven't, and we'll go back onto the question after? Yeah, sure. So first of all, every single bookmaker terms will say that you can only have one account per IP address. So straight away, that means that if you and your wife want to both run your own accounts, you can't run them both from the same IP address, which is the same internet connection. You need to have a different internet connection, so either a 3G dongle for one of your laptops or a VPN connection for one of your laptops, so it's coming through a different IP address. The thing as well is you obviously need to have a unique bank account associated with each address. That bank account needs to be in the name of the person's account. So Hugh couldn't set up an account under Guy's name and then use Hugh's bank account, because they will always want to check that the bank account is linked to it. The other thing, and I sort of had a bit of a debate with a Firestar about this, is there are ways that websites can fingerprint your browsing environment. So whenever you visit a website, that website can gain information about what web browser you're using, certain things about your operating system, things like your screen resolution. That sort of information is sent to the website, because then the website might have certain rules saying if someone comes in on IE, do a certain type of rendering. If it comes on Facebook or Firefox, do a different type, so it all works. It looks okay in different browsers, but it means that they can get a fingerprint of your environment. And if they see someone coming in on Firefox version 32 beta with screen resolution 10 by 20 running Windows 7 R2, something like that, that's a very unique set of settings which altogether form quite a unique fingerprint. If an hour later someone with that exact same fingerprint comes in, it's going to look like that's the same person, because how many people access Coral website, for instance, on a given day using the same browser with the same screen resolution on the same operating system with the same settings and plugins? Not that many people. So I would always recommend using a completely different machine. Either use a separate laptop or use a virtual machine on your main desktop.
Okay, so that was because you lost me through most of that as far as your techie spin. Maybe even a few of the viewers, but the long and short of it is that, because I saw this conversation between you and the Firestarter, and the Firestarter felt that he wasn't as concerned as maybe you were about having to have a different computer to do the different things. And you think if you are going down that route, you'd need to make sure that you are using a totally different laptop.
I absolutely would. I mean, you can get a pretty decent laptop now for £150 down PC World. You'll get a 3G dongle for 20 quid. For £170, you're going to be set up ready. You do the Bet365 new account sign up offer. That's going to make you £180 profit. That was paid for itself in a single offer. To me, it's not worth the risk of them thinking that you are running multiple accounts. So when my partner set up her set of accounts, I went out and got her a new laptop with a separate 3G dongle that I pay £15 a month for, and it just keeps everything completely isolated, completely ring fenced. And it also stops any temptation to accidentally log on to the wrong set of accounts on the wrong machine. So I know that this laptop is her laptop, only she uses it. I never ever log on to her laptop and then accidentally go onto my accounts and place a bet on her setup.
Okay, so that's a really important point there as well, because I think when you've got like the passwords that kind of link in and you save them as well, you need to make sure that you are keeping the two accounts totally separate. And that I suppose it makes sense what you just said. If you have got a different computer and you're linking the passwords in, it is two totally different things and that could be kept apart from each other.
Yes, exactly.
And the cost isn't that high either. Like you said, if you're looking at 170 startup cost and the Bet365 offer, which is probably the best out there, bet 200, get 200 free, you maximize that and get around 180 quid back on that. It's paid for itself within one bet. Yes,
exactly. And by the time you get to the stage where you're going to be confident enough to help other people, you should already have the backing bank from doing a lot of the sign-up offers yourself, which means you should have some floating capital to do it. So it's all this thing of don't dive in straight away. If you just start match betting, don't suddenly dive in and set up 10 sets of accounts, or help 10 sets of people, because you're just not going to have the backing bank to do it. Start off slow, build up your backing bank, and then when it comes to making an investment like £170, it doesn't seem like that much because you've already made £1,000.
Yeah, it's not about running before you can walk, because I don't know about how you found this guide. I've made mistakes. I've messed up. I've miscalculated. I've accidentally pressed the wrong bet. And if you're doing that times 2 or 3, you're just compounding the errors. So if you can kind of make some errors or just learn some efficient routes and what works and what you're comfortable with to start with before kind of multiplying that just totally makes sense. I feel like I'm getting there now. I feel like I would be in a position after 3 months where I could, I'm doing it. I'm noticing myself being very quick, and it's kind of like automatic, like driving type of thing for most of the bets that I'm placing. Therefore, I think I'm in a position where I could realistically go on to that, but I wouldn't have wanted to do it like 4 weeks ago.
No, exactly. And yeah, so everybody makes mistakes. Problem is, if you're advising other people and you've got 5 people who've all just placed the same bet you've placed and you've made a mistake on that bet, that's 5 people who have just lost the money rather than just one person. So any mistakes you make get compounded if you are helping other people and you're advising them on what bets to place. So definitely start slow and get confident in what you're doing. And just remember that you will still make mistakes. I make mistakes now. Just the other night, I backed and laid 2 different greyhounds. So I had a £200 liability on a dog that I'd never heard of, never seen before, and had backed the wrong one. So I tell you, I've never watched a greyhound race more intently, hoping that dog did not win that race than when that happened. But you do, and it's why start off small, don't dive into the big office straight away, and build up your backing bank so that when you do have a mistake, it's not a major loss.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I just want to bring it back to the initial question from Adam, because there's one thing from myself as well. I wasn't quite sure, so sorry if you have answered this, but this iSnare software and blocking it, you advise doing on multiple counts. Do you advise doing that for anyone starting? Just for themselves?
Yeah, absolutely. So iSnare is got nothing to do with multiple accounts. It's to stop the bookmaker seeing you go onto other bookmaker sites or onto an exchange site. So even if you're just running a single set of accounts, even if you just started, your very first day and you sign up for that Betfair exchange account, go and research iSnare and block it from day one. Once you've got once you've got the block set up on your computer, it's a little bit technical, but there's loads of guides that do it absolute step-by-step how to block it. You can then completely forget about it, and it never needs to worry you again. But yeah, first thing you do as soon as you sign up for any sites on any machine that you use, block iSnare on that site, because it doesn't matter how many times you delete it, it'll keep coming back. So I've probably got it on my computer now, I've deleted it about 10 times. But once you put the block in, it doesn't matter how many times it comes back. It cannot talk back in, so it can't report any useful information to them.
Awesome. Okay. Thanks for clearing that up. The next question, which I think has been answered, I'm going to run through it because I want to make sure that we are covering it. This is from Adam again. I'm just about to start my match betting journey. I'm looking to do this full time. I've heard people saying it's unrealistic to earn £2,000. So what does a guy think realistically? How much can you earn doing this full time? So I think the latter half of that is probably more relevant here, because we kind of answered the first part of that, how much you can earn doing one account. You think 500 to £1,000. Secondly, though, how much do you think you could do this if you went at it full time? You've got the freedom, like maybe myself or like Adam here, and you're going at it for 9 or 10 hours a day. How much do you think you could bump that 500 to £1,000 up?
So there's going to be 2 factors that influence it. The first one is how many friends and family you're helping, which obviously we've talked about, and the second one is also your attitude to risk. So a lot of the people making a lot of the money are starting to stay away from sports bets because they might make £10-20 a time. They're starting to do more casino offers because that's where you're going to get your big wins. But also they come with risk. The casino offers normally aren't risk free. The maths is always in your favor. So averaged out, you're going to make a profit, but it is averaged out. So there might be a casino offer that's worth 50 quid, for instance. Average out is worth £50. But you're going to lose 9 times out of 10, £50. So you're going to lose £450 before you then win £1,000 and then make, £500 profit. There's your 10 times 50. It's that sort of situation. So you need to be confident and have the backing bank to absorb a long string of losses before hitting a big win. And that's what the full-timers are doing. So if you ever look on any of the match betting forums and you see people posting big casino wins, I've just made £500, something like that. Look at the spin size if they post a screenshot, and if you see them doing sort of £5-10 spins on a slot machine, that means they got huge variance. It means they're going to lose a lot, but when they do win, they're going to win big. That's probably someone who does it full time, has a big backing bank, and can really average out the losses and wait for that one big win. As to how much someone could earn, I've seen figures of about £5,000 a month floated around by people who I know do this full time.
Are they helping friends and family?
Well, as I said, if you're making £500 to £1,000 per account, it probably gives you an idea of how many friends and family they need to be helping to make that sort of amount. And as I said, it also means. Well, it also means said that they can average out their wins and losses across all of their friends and family as well. So if there's a single offer that's only on for one day, they can hit it multiple times in that same day.
So if we use the figure 500 to a grand now for working on one account. So if you work for an extra 6 hours more than most people in a day because you have the freedom to do that, you don't think you could earn that much more than a grand? You're saying it's a risk.
No,
game,
I don't think you can, because you will hit a ceiling on just physically how many offers there are. So I've definitely hit times, on a weekday when I've been off work, where by 12, 1 o'clock, I've done every single offer that I could possibly find, or any of the betting sites can find. And once you hit that ceiling, there's nothing more you can do unless you're actually going to go out and gamble. You can maybe pick up a few ARBs as they come out during the day, but that's not going to make you a huge amount. So I think realistically, £500 to £1,000 per person, I'd say is an achievable figure. You might get lucky, as I said. You might have an amazing month. So last month I had a very, very good month. That wasn't due to helping friends and family. That was due to I had a few big casino wins worth 150, £200, and I had about sort of 5 or 10 of them spread out across the month. But on a just a normal average month, I think you're probably going to struggle to do more than £1,000 just on your own. And then if you don't think if you've got 5 people you're helping, combined all of your profit, you're going to struggle to go over 2.5 to 5,000, for instance, no matter how much time you put into it, because there's just not the offers there to do after that point.
It's really interesting hearing your point of view, because you've been doing this a lot longer than I have, and I think there's luck in this as well, like with the slots for starters, but also refund offers, which I've gone into more recently, where you're sticking on 25 or 50 quid on a certain outcome, and if something happens during the game, then we'll give you money back. And there have been a couple of those occasions where England-Wales game was one of them. There was a draw, so England scored the winner. You scored the winner with like a few minutes to go, and that cost me, I think it was like a 50 quid refund. So that was, I had it laid, so it ended up just by me placing that bet, it cost me, I don't know what, like a couple of quid. So it wasn't like a massive loss for me. But because England scored within 3 minutes to go, actually that prevented me from winning or getting back a free bet worth my stake. So and I had a couple of those situations where I was close to and it didn't happen. I have picked some up, but straight away, I can see that, well, if it goes in your favor, you could suddenly, whack your profit up quite quickly with those, especially some of the 25, 50 quid. If you hit some of those, that does stack up. But then again, if you're a little bit unfortunate, it doesn't go your way on your slots, and you lose 4, 5, maybe 8 in a row, maybe you are a little bit unfortunate, and you can get hit quite hard with it. So it's a bit. Yeah. I think it's a really difficult thing to answer. I think it's a great question. I understand why as well, but from my own experience in the last couple of weeks, I've seen myself be unfortunate with some of the bets that I've put out, and got lucky in other cases, thinking, God, the variance is like hundreds of pounds.
Yes, absolutely. And you've got to remember, the figures I'm giving you are based on you doing these not entirely risk-free offers. So I know a lot of people starting match betting sort of struggle to get their head around the ones where they're not risk-free. So they say, so that you could lose this, you could lose, £1 every race. And my figures of £500 to £1,000 takes into account that you are doing those offers. If you are only doing the sign-up offers or the 100% risk-free offers, you're not going to be making, probably much more than about £300 to £400 a month as a ballpark figure. I'd say you're going to have to do some of the risk ones. There are always risks though where the maths is heavily in your favor, and it should always average out. But as you said, you could lose every single one of them. Theoretically, you could lose every single one of them. You lose £1 per bet. You do 100 bets, and you could lose £100 and not hit a single one. I'd be shocked if that happens. If the chances of that happening, you probably shouldn't leave your house, because you're going to get hit by a car as soon as you step out onto the pavement. You'd be that unlucky. So to give you an idea of the average, yesterday on the Channel 4 horse racing, I placed about 10 bets, of which would have cost me about £10 a place. 2 of them came in, so that gave me £50 worth of free bets, which I'll get £45 return. Total profit for that will be £35. So I risked £10 for to get £35. That was unlucky of me. That was a bad day. You know, I would have expected to get about 4 or 5 out of those. So you've got to do the risk ones if you want to make more than a few £100. But the maths is always in your favor. You know, you're not just gambling. It's like the coin toss where I'm giving you 10 times your money if you win, rather than just double your money if you win on a 50-50 coin toss. It all goes back to that. And if you can get your head around that, then you can start making, you know, £1,000 a month in match betting.
I think you're spot on with that, because I used to play poker, and I know some of my friends that might even be watching this thinking, yeah, you try. But I understand with the poker, it's the same thing. There are certain calls that you have to make. So you're put in a situation where there's so much money into a pot, and to the cost of just entering it with the odds of your hand, when you look at it, you have to make that call, even though you might lose. The idea behind it, going back to the coin toss thing, is that if I'm in that situation again and you play that 10 times, you're going to win more often than not. So if you divide it by every hand, it makes sense. You might lose that hand, but you'll win the next one or the one after that. So it therefore makes sense to do that. So if it's only going to cost you £2 and the chances of it coming in are every other time, but you could win 50 quid, actually, mathematically, it makes you should be putting that bet. You shouldn't be talking about it. You need to put that bet on if you want to make money from it. It mathematically makes sense to always do that. And you only lose if you do it once and then never do it again, or you only lose if you choose not to do it and benefit from it. So I think you're spot on. I've noticed a difference in my earnings from taking that step, just naturally myself in the last few weeks. So I hope we've answered your question. Now I'm gonna ask you the next one, then go back into the comments to see if we've got any other questions coming in, because I don't think we have just as of yet. Next question is from Weenie, and she has said, okay, bit more direct now, Guy. How much profit have you made from the Euro 16 so far? She said that she's made a couple hundred quid and just wanted to know how she compares to a pro.
Honestly, not as much as I would like. So the thing, a lot of the Euro offers, you had to place a bet right at the very start, and it won't, you know, they're placing on who's going to win it or who was the top goal scorer. So I won't see any, you know, final figures from that until next month. Also, I noticed a lot of the Euro offers tend to be smaller amounts. So you get a £5 free bet for every goal this person scores, or you get a £10 free bet, you know, something like that. So it seems to be lots and lots of little ones, which all add up. Total profit for the month so far, which most of the bets are Euro related. I think I'm at about £1,000 so far. It's hard to be exact because obviously I've got bets open at the moment. I think I've got about £150 worth of liability out at the moment. So I'd say about £1,000, of which maybe 600-700 of it is Euro related. I haven't done very well on slot machines this month. I haven't hit any big wins yet. So yeah, maybe £600-700 so far in the month. Cool.
This has been, from my perspective, I know I'm not a pro, I'm only in month 3, but this has been a good month for me because I've kind of like tried it here and there for a couple of months, and this is the first month that every day I have been putting at least one bet on, or usually a few, and several in some cases. I've noticed myself even on the weekends sit down at my computer for 6 hours doing it. And I'm on 650 this month. I go off one account, I'm doing it alone. I am heavily going into the Euros, but also we've had Ascot this week as well. And because I don't work, I can stick some on at lunchtime and then watch them come through. So Ascot's been quite good as well. Well, that's
I see a lot of people make quite a lot on Ascot. Unfortunately, I was at work all day, every day, so I couldn't get anything on it, but I've seen people who have made hundreds. And it'll be the same for Cheltenham Festival when that comes around next year. So a lot of the people who match bet a lot actually take the whole week off for Cheltenham Festival because there's just that many offers. You'll make huge, you make £1,000 in a week just by taking that 1 week off. So as I said, it depends what's on at the time, what offers are on. And you will have really good months and you will have not so good months, but they all tend to sort of average out.
Yeah. Okay, I think this is Weenie again, the next question. How many accounts have been gubbed so far? So that's the first part of the question. So if you want to answer that, I'll do the second part.
So just for anyone who doesn't know, gubbing is where a bookmaker bans you, but it's not a complete ban. So what they'll do is they will say you're no longer eligible for any of our special offers. So you could still go and place a bet on a football match if you really wanted to, but you wouldn't get any special offer attached to it. And so essentially it's pointless. It's worthless for match betting purposes. You know, if you just want to go gamble, you can go gamble, but it's pointless for match betting purposes. I've personally been gubbed from, I'm just looking at my list now, about 8 of the bookmakers in some form. So some of them will ban you completely from all of their offers. Some will only ban you from the sports offers, but you can still do the casino offers. And some of them will just stop you placing really high odds bets. So it's sort of like banning you, but not completely. So for me, it's about 8 out of maybe 40 active accounts. So maybe 20%. But I made a lot of mistakes earlier on. So I know we spoke last time that I bet on some second division Chilean football match at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I placed £200 on it for the Bet365 offer. I mean, talk about red flags. I might as well just walked into their head office and said, "Hi guys, I match bet a lot," because it couldn't have been any more obvious. Now I'm much better. And I've only been gubbed. So a lot of those gubbings, 7 out of those 8 gubbings happened sort of within the first month, where I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just going on anything. And then since then, I've only just had one, which was Betfred, where I was absolutely hammering the greyhounds. Like I was doing them every single night, and I was doing exactly £25 bets, and you know I was really hammering it.
Hello.
Hello, I think we lost you.
Did I? Oh, right. Did I get cut out? Did I?
I think so.
Right. Sorry, mate. I think everything's okay. I think it's gone live. Sorry about that. Sorry, mate. So carry on. You were saying about Betfred. So you were rinsing it 25 quid a night, and they gave you the axe.
Yes. Yeah. So I mean, so some bookmakers you want to try and keep hold of as long as possible, because they do such good recurring offers, like Bet365. You know, their £50 in play offer is an absolute goldmine. Some of them aren't as generous, and they have a reputation for banning you quite quickly, which sort of Betfred's one of these. So you want to hit it as hard and fast as you can and just get as much money out of there before they do inevitably ban you. And that's what I was doing with Betfred.
Have you got any general tips? This is off-piste a little bit, but any tips to prevent yourself being gubbed? Obviously, you got the female Division 3 Chilean football team to avoid, but what else can you do to stay safe?
So you want to appear like a normal punter. So you got to think, what would a normal 30-year-old male in the UK bet on? If you're placing bets on the England matches, that's not going to flag up. If you're placing bets on a second division Chilean team, that's going to flag up massively. Also, think of the timings of when you place your bets. So things like horse racing, don't place bets the day before, because a lot of people will look at the horses in the morning and then make their betting decisions based on how the horse is acting in the morning, how it looks. So if you're placing bets the night before, it stands out from what a normal regular punter would do. Another one as well is don't bet against yourself with the same bookie. So if they've got an in-play offer, and you say you bet on England to win, as soon as the in-play starts 2 minutes later, don't place your in-play bet on England to lose, because they're going to take one look at it and sort of wonder what you're doing, why anyone would bet that. Those are sort of the main tips. I know a lot of people talk about placing mug bets, which are just where you place a bet unrelated to an offer. So you're doing 3 offers, and then you might just place 1 4th bet, which has nothing to do with an offer. I do those, but not nearly as much as I know some people do. And there's a lot of debate on whether it's actually worth even doing it in the first place, because obviously you're going to lose a little bit on the mug bet, and there's no real evidence as to whether it prolongs your accounts or not. I think you're more likely to survive just by not placing bets on sort of really abstract things.
So this is the second part to Weenie's question, actually, which you've answered there, which is, do you do any or many mug bets? And to actually explain, a mug bet is just a standard bet without an offer that a normal gambling person would do. Is that right?
Yes, yeah, exactly. So I might do a mug bet if I've had a big win with the bookmaker. So say I've done a £50 bet and it's won and I've got £300 in the account. A normal punter at that point would sort of think, no, I'm quite lucky. So I might go place another £50 bet on something else and then withdraw £250, for instance. But I normally would only do it after a big win, because, you know, a normal punter, if they've just lost loads of money in a bookie, they're probably not just going to run out and whack another £100 bet straight away. Well, they might do if they had a gambling problem, but you know, a casual punter, which is what we want to appear, probably won't do that.
And the fear of sounding too like obvious as well. You lay against that.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So you got to remember your lay account, your exchange accounts are unrelated to the bookmakers. They can't see what you're laying, apart from Betfair, who obviously have their sports book, and also Paddy Power, who have bought Betfair. So if you're placing a bet on Paddy Power, don't go lay it off on Betfair Exchange because they'll spot it. But yeah, you're absolutely laying it so that you're only losing a small qualifying loss. The other thing I have heard some people talk about is doing sort of mug betting for casinos, where you might just go spin £5 worth on casino offers. These are worthwhile doing if it is a very good casino offer. Like there are ones out there where if you deposit £10, they'll give you a free £10, which you can then withdraw straight away. So you can withdraw 20 quid. For those, I'd probably recommend going and doing just £5 worth of spins and then taking out any profit you've got at the end of that. Okay.
That's good. That's good advice. Thank you for that, Guy. I think you might have answered the next one actually, which is, can you bet for a Betfair sportsbook and lay a Betfair exchange? Is that very much what you've just explained with Paddy Power as well?
Yeah, don't do it. So don't do it if it's fine to do it if you're helping someone else, because obviously they're two different names and people. But if you are placing Betfair sportsbooks or Paddy Power bets, do not lay them on the Betfair exchange on your own account, because it's going to be very easy for them to match the two up. In these cases, go use S Markets, which is a completely unrelated exchange, and actually has better commission rates than Betfair anyway. So I use S Markets mostly. But yeah, don't bet on Betfair Sportsbook and then lay it off on Betfair Exchange.
And with regards to that commission, the Betfair's 5% and S Markets 2%. So if you're placing a few grand over the course of a month, that adds up.
It adds up massively, and it also means that you can take slightly worse odds matches if you need to. So it saves you time, because you might think, oh, okay, I'm going to lose this much if I place it with Betfair, but I could lose the same amount, but I don't need to wait for the odds to come in or anything like that. So I tend to stick to S Markets. The only time I wouldn't use S Markets is if there isn't enough liquidity in it. So some of the more obscure things like first goal scorer doesn't have much liquidity on S Markets, so I'd go use it on Betfair. Or Greyhounds, you've got to do on Betfair because there isn't any exchange on it on S Markets.
Do you use any other, just off piece again, but do you use any others like a Matchbook or a BetDAC or anything like
that? Only for their sign-up offers. And then I took it out. I didn't see any reason to, because their odds are almost always the exact same as Betfair and S Markets. All of the exchanges, the odds tend to naturally stay very similar, because if there's a massive odds difference, someone could arb the two exchanges and place a back bet with one and a lay bet with the other. So a lot of people trade the exchanges almost like as if it was trading a stock market, and they'll have automatic programs that will spot as soon as an arb occurs between the exchanges, and that bot will go in, it will place bets and it'll make them money, but it will also level out the exchanges. So they always tend to be within about 0.1 or 0.2 of each other odds wise anyway. So yeah, I'd just recommend using S Markets, has the lowest commission.
Okay. On to the next question. So that question before was from Adam. This is again another question from Adam. How do you generate reoccurring offers? And he's put in brackets after the new customer offers have been done. How long after qualifying bets would you expect to get offers for?
So this is where I'd absolutely recommend signing up for one of the guide sites that I recommend on my site. They will tell you all the recurring offers that are happening that day. That's probably your main source, but also the bookmakers will email you and text you offers all the time. When you're signing up for things, normally you're used to ticking the box saying you don't want any of their junk mail. When you're signing up for a bookie, you absolutely do want to get their emails. You want them to spam you with them, because they will send you free bets all the time. So just this morning, I had one come through for a bookmaker I hadn't used in a month. Said, here's a £30 free bet. That was it. They just literally put it in my account. Didn't have to do anything for it. they just gave me £25 profit this morning. So you want to get these emails. They will send them through, especially on all the big things. So every time there's an England game, your inbox will be flooded with offers, and a lot of the offers are personalized to you as well. So they'll be invite only is what they call it in all the groups, and it means that you can only get it if you've got that email, and so you've got to have that email in the first place. So
and to get that email, you just tick the box, yes, please notify me of any offers.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you're worried about spam, set up a different email address just for your bookmaker. I don't, just because I work in IT, so I sit with my email box open all day, every day anyway, so I can clear out the junk very quickly. That's the best way of doing it. As for getting the other offers, the time, does it mean how soon do they start sending you recurring offers? In which case it's almost instant.
It's an assumption thing. I think it's more for longevity after. So you could say that. So to start with, how quickly do they start sending you these lovely 10, 20, 30 quid free offers? But also, just to cover both bases, how long after qualifying bets would you expect to get offers? Like, do they die out once you've had a couple of those? Do they think, this guy kind of is rinsing us, and stop after 6 months or 12 months? Or
no, I mean, if anything, it's the opposite. They might say, we haven't seen you in 2 months. Here's a free bet to try and tempt you back. So there's a group of casino sites that are talked about on the match betting sites, where if you haven't logged into them for a couple of months, they will send you some pretty awesome offers just completely out of the blue. Unless you've been gubbed, in which case you will never get another offer off that site again. They tend to just come in, pretty steadily. Once you've got all of your accounts set up, you're going to have about 40 or 50 different accounts, and you think if one of those is sending you an offer, just say once a month, you're going to get one almost every single day. In fact, just as we're talking now, I've just had an offer come through literally right now for a £20 free bet.
Where it's from, but what is it? What's the detail of the offer?
Place a bet on the England match, and if it loses, we'll give you a free bet up to £20. So that'll be a £20 stake not returned first bet, and then if it wins, instant profit. If it loses, I then get another £20 free bet. So I'll make £12 to £15 profit off of this one straight away. They've just emailed me this, just this morning, right now, out of the blue. I didn't have to do anything. I haven't even placed a bet with these guys for a few weeks. So
and
they do tend to come in.
Sign up to them. Was that quite early on, like 6 months ago?
Yeah, like last November.
Okay. So I hope that answers the question, Adam. It seems that it isn't too much of a problem as long as you're not gubbed, and that if anything, if you've been inactive for a couple of months, you might get some really cool offers to try and entice you back into using them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Go on, mate.
Just quickly, and some of them. So if you are doing a lot of the offers, and you do some of them do enhanced sign-up offers every now and then over like a big horse racing meet like Ascot or Cheltenham. They might do a special sign-up offer where rather than a bet 10 get £30 free bet, they'll do a bet 50 get £150 free bet. If you do these sign-up offers, they think you're a much bigger punter because you're instantly your first bet is that much bigger. It's worth 50 quid rather than a tenner, and so you go into almost like their VIP program straight away, where you get more enhanced offers right from the start. So Coral was a very good example of one that will do this. If you wait, if you're willing to wait a few weeks or a few months, and like there's a big horse racing meet coming up or a big event coming up, Coral will do an enhanced sign-up offer where rather than bet 10 and we'll give you 30, it's bet 50 and we'll give you 150. And as soon as you do that, they instantly put you straight into their VIP program and you get better offers. So with some of the sites, the more and the bigger you bet, the better offers you get as well.
Oh, this is great information. I'm glad you interrupted me on that one. I think it's worth it. Okay, we're closing in now. I'm thinking of time. We wanted to try and keep this to an hour if we can. Last question from Adam, which is, are bookies getting wise to this? Betway terms and conditions said, reserve the right to void free bets if evidence of guaranteed customer returns regardless of the outcome.
Yeah, so of course the bookies know what's going on. They're not stupid. They will absolutely know what's going on, and they will have teams dedicated to trying to catch you. If you look in the bookies' terms and conditions, they pretty much give them free reign to do anything they want at any time for any reason. If they decide that they've made a mistake on the odds, they don't even have to pay out a winning bet. It is very much stacked in heavily in their favor. this is why essentially what you're just trying to stay under their radar. I mean, it'd be foolish to say that you're never going to get caught. You will get your accounts gubbed or banned, but they will almost always give you your money back out of the account. If they don't, you might have a bit of toing and throwing and arguing, but I've always managed to get my money back out, even when they've said, we know what you're doing, we're keeping your money. You just say, okay, well, I'm going to complain to the regulator, and then they give you your money back. But once you start with just doing a sign-up offers, you'll be totally fine. It's only when you start hammering the recurring offers that they then start to pay more attention to you.
Okay. Last couple of questions were for me, actually, that I've just put on. I've tried to refresh my emails, and I haven't had any questions from anyone else. So I'm loath to kind of go back onto YouTube and have it speak over. I might just try in a moment. But my first question is, sorry, mate, go on.
It looks like we've got a couple of comments on YouTube.
Oh, boy. Do you want to read them out then, mate, if you've got them there?
Yeah, let me have a look. So David asks, can you explain a rollover bonus wager, i.e. the Bet365 new customer offer, which is quite confusing? So a rollover requirement or wagering requirement is where you have to place a certain number of bets before you can withdraw any winnings. So the Bet365 one is a good example, where you place a bet with them for £200. They then give you another £200 bonus money. You've then got to roll over that bonus money 3 more times. So you have to place £600 worth of bets before you can withdraw any winnings. Thing to keep in mind with this though is if your bets both lose, so you place your £200 one and it loses, so the money goes into exchange. You place your other £200 one and the money goes into exchange. That's it, you finish, you pocket the profit. If it happens to win with Bet365, you've then got to place another £600 worth of bets, do these as qualifying bets, and you'll lose, I don't know, maybe £5 per bet, and then just do it £600, so do 3 more £200 bets, and that gets you over the rollover. What the bookies are trying to do is they know the odds are in their favor, so they want you to place more bets with their money, hoping that you will lose with them eventually. Because statistically, if you place bets all the time at their minimum odds that they allow you, you're eventually going to lose the money with them. They don't know that you're winning it into the exchange, but they're hoping you'll lose it with them. So that's what you want to do. For any rollover ones, just do it as qualifying bets, however many times they want you to roll it over. What else have we got? Any tips from Stephen on casino bingo offers? Yes. So if you look on the sort of the guide sites, you'll see the casino offers coming up every now and then. What you're looking for is for the EV, which is the estimated value, which tells you how much money that offer is worth on average. So if it's something like bet £100 on a slot and the EV is £2, although on average, yes, that's worth doing. If you were to average out 1 million times, it's probably not worth doing just on a single set of accounts because it's not going to get you much return for quite a big risk. So stick to the smaller offers, which will be things like bet 10 and will give you a free 10 with only 1 times rollover. That's good because you're probably going to end up about £9 profit on those. For the bingo sites, there is a trick to it, which I talked about on the guide sites. Essentially, what you do is you spend all of your bonus money in one go, and then it avoids having to do any rollover requirements. So if they give you £30, you go and blow 30 quid on all the bingo games, as many tickets you can buy as quickly as you can buy before any of them pay out, because then any winnings get straight into your cash withdrawable. So it's all explained on the guide sites, but for the bingo sites, it's all about speed. You want to be trying to buy tickets in advance so that none of them pay out whilst you're still buying other tickets. David asks, any advice on setting up 2 accounts from the same address? Yes, some bookies are what they call partner friendly, which means that you can have accounts registered to the same address. Some of them are not. If they're not, the problem is they will ask for proof of your address, and they may also ask to see a bank statement. So your bank needs to be registered for the different address. So you may struggle to be able to assist your partner if they're living with you and they've got a bank account registered to, it's both to the same address. You might have to think a bit outside the box there and think about maybe helping family who don't live with you, friends who don't live with you in that case. Any tips on tracking cash around various accounts? Yes, use spreadsheets. So I keep 2 spreadsheets, one with my sort of profit and loss per every bet, and one which shows all my money and where it is across different accounts. So every time I win money on the profit and loss spreadsheet, that money obviously goes into an account, and so I increase the amount on the account spreadsheet. And in total, the total profit on both spreadsheets should always be the exact same, because every time you win or lose money, it's got to come from or go to somewhere.
If I can just interject on that one, Guy, as well, because you kindly put together the spreadsheet that you use, the version of it, and sent me a copy for anyone watching the last Q&A that wanted it. So if anyone does want it, I've had like at least half a dozen to maybe 10 people ask for it. Just drop me an email at my blog or via YouTube. Just contact me direct, and I'm more than happy to send that out to you to help you get started. Yeah. So yeah, let me know if you're interested. Sorry.
Okay, and last question from David is, how often does the Bet 365 in play offer come around? It tends to be on really, really big football matches. So at the moment they have been doing it on every single England Euro game, but they also done it on the UEFA Champions League final. So not that often. I'd say maybe once every few months, unless there is a big football meet like the Euros or the World Cup, I'd expect. But at the moment they've been doing it on every single England game.
Okay, and I've actually worked out how to get the comments, so I've got those as well, guys. So thank you for reading through those. I appreciate that. It looks like there's another question from the person that asked about tracking the accounts. I don't know if you can answer this one as well. They have spreadsheets, but they're finding it difficult to calculate the exchange balance because, for example, their Euros have a few outstanding bets which don't settle for another few weeks.
So on both exchanges, S Markets and Betfair, if you go into your account history, if you've got outstanding bets with outstanding liabilities, the available balance will be different from your actual balance that it shows in your account history. So available balance is how much you've got out there unmatched that you're allowed to play with. If you go into your account history, it will show you a different, higher figure, which is the money you've actually got in your account, and that's the amount you want to put on your spreadsheet. Because the bet hasn't settled, you haven't actually lost any money. You know, it's just been unallocated. So you're not allowed to allocate it to another bet, but you haven't lost it yet. So you want to be putting in the figure that's in your account history, not the figure that it says up the top right corner as available balance. And then that will obviously show you an actual figure of what you've got in your accounts, and it will add up with your profit and loss spreadsheet.
Okay, thank you for clearing that up. I hope we've been able to clear that up. I think that's from Kobo L09. I'm going to just ask my couple of questions now briefly. I'm aware of the time as well. It's 11:57. Guy, are you okay to stick on for 5 minutes?
Yeah, of course.
You okay? I'll fire my questions, guys. If you've got any more, please whiz them through, and I'll ask Guy live right now. It looks like Kobo L09 said, "Oh, okay, I see. Thank you for that." So we've answered that question. My first question or two was, what have you learned about match betting between now and our last call?
I'd say the main thing is, and it sort of goes back to doing the rollover requirements. So there are some offers where they give you, say, a free £20 bet. If it wins with the bookmaker, you have to roll it over a certain number of times. I will tend to do that at a higher odds, not because I'm hoping it will lose, which there's a good chance it will if it's at higher odds, but because I will actually underlay it. So it means that if it loses into the exchange, I might lose £5 off the £20 free, so I make £15 profit. But if it wins with a bookmaker, I get back more than the £20. I get back maybe £40. So I've got an extra 20 quid in there, which will then get me through doing the qualifying bets to do the rollovers. That's probably the biggest one. I mean, the easiest way to do it is just look at one of the calculators, put it in as a qualifying bet, but then swing the slider down to the left so you're underlaying it, so you're putting in less lay, which means that if it did win with the bookmaker, you'd make more profit, because then you've then got to do the rollover to get through that. And that's probably the biggest thing that I've sort of changed in the past month or so.
And that impacts the amount of money that you earn on the lay side. So if the lay, if you win, which is more likely because it's high odds, you'll get a slightly less return, but that's leveraged to make even more in the betting account to give you extra money to meet the wagering requirements in case that one-off, like something like Wales were to beat England 4-0, something crazy like that, then you've actually got some money behind to follow through on the wagering.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you do this at higher odds, it has more of a result. So if you're doing it at high odds, for every, say, £1 that you underlay it by, so you lose an extra £1 if it were to go into the exchange, you'll get maybe an extra £10 if it goes into the bookie. So it's only really worth doing this if you're going to do your qualifying bet, which is a qualifier because they're going to be bonus money. that you've got to roll over. It's only worth doing that if you're then going to do it at higher odds, and then as you underlay it, it compounds the result you get into the bookmaker. It sounds complicated, but if you just go onto one of the calculators and just have a play around with it, put in odds of say £20 qualifying bet, back odds of 6, lay odds of 6, and then move the slider to the left, and you'll see that if it wins with a bookie, you'll win much more than what you're losing from the exchange, and then it gives you more profit to play around with to get through the rollover requirements.
Yeah, I think you've done a good job of explaining that, but I think you're also right in encouraging people to go and try out for themselves, because when you actually go and see the numbers for a bet example that you're putting on for £10 for odds of 6 to 6, and actually seeing the difference, it'll make sense, I think, when you see it in person. So yeah, so that was the main thing you've been doing since our last call. And anything else that you've learned about match betting?
Not really. I mean, the big thing about match betting is it's rinse and repeat. Once you understand the theory of it, it's just a case of every single day going on, playing through the offers. I said this month I haven't had any single big wins, but I am up to £1,000 profit, and that's all just doing lots and lots of little bets, and they do all really add up. You sort of do get at the risk of going, that offer's only worth £5. I'm not going to bother doing it. But I remember back when I was working sort of a minimum wage job, after tax, busting my ass for an hour, and that got me a £5. So if I can place a bet that only takes 2 minutes, it might only be worth £5, but that's £5 tax free that I'm going to get, profit at the end of the month. So it does all add up. Do the smaller offers, even if they look like they're not really worth it, because you never know, and it does all add up over the course of a whole month.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I've also felt the same thing, especially from comparing it to the amount of money that I can make in Kindle income and the time leveraging, whether it's worth it or not. I was actually just speaking to a friend last night. A shout out to Sean if you're listening. We were talking about this, and when I was initially going into match betting and doing all the sign up offers, it's taken me bloody ages doing all the accounts and the details and my card, and then I'd put a bet on and get like £5 free bet, but then that might turn out to say £3.50 profit. And I thought, God, was that even worth it? But I was trying to encourage myself to go through that, learn it, get better at it, because it won't take that long once you've got the hang of it. And I can safely say now, 3 months later, it's totally worth it, because you get so quick at doing it. And once you've signed in and you've ticked the boxes for the reoccurring offers and the stuff that comes through, it's just all practice. You might question it, I think, in the first couple of months. I know I did. I wasn't sure about it. But now, even just 3 months in, I'm totally sold on it. It's a legitimate way to make a lot of money. The example you gave before on £5 and whether or not that's worth it. Well, once you're up to speed and you know how to match bet, it literally takes a minute to 2 minutes to actually place a bet. So let's say it takes 5 and you do 10 of those in an hour over the course of a week. Then, okay, if you've made £3.50, it's £35 for an hour's work. Now, that's not bad, money, is it? £35 an hour for a lot of people. So I think and to be honest, it shouldn't take you 5 minutes. You'll make more than that. And there will be occasions where you'll do the same process, but for £10 and £20. So I think that those small offers, albeit small, they all add up over the duration of match betting for weeks and months. So I would agree with you totally. I think it's worth it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm just going to quickly back in. I've got one more question to ask myself, but okay. David has put, how many hours a day does Guy do on this? Good question. I think it came up on the last one, but let's go over it for new viewers. And same question to me. So do you want to go ahead with that one, Guy?
So it depends on the offers that are on the day. Something like today where there's no horse racing and got a couple of football in the evening, I spent an hour before this call setting up the bets for the day, and that was it done. Saturdays where you got the Channel 4 horse racing that are on for sort of 3-4 hours, I'll be doing it for 3 or 4 hours or longer. So it really depends on what offers are on. I think so. I'd probably say the minimum time is about half an hour to an hour a day where there's not much on. I just need to get through some free bets. But if there's a lot going on a day, on a busy Saturday, something like Ascot or Cheltenham, it could be 8 hours a day.
So you're looking at around 5 hours Monday to Friday, and then maybe between 6 and 8 hours over a weekend. Would that be fair? As a rough estimate?
Yeah, I'd say so. But remember, it will take longer to do each offer, as you said, when you're first doing the sign-ups. That does take a long time. But once you've got all your accounts up and you've already got money in the accounts, you can blaze through the offers much quicker, and you will just get quicker. So I spend a lot less time now than I was, maybe back in sort of January, February time.
I think that's a fair point, because you're looking at this from kind of two angles, aren't you? If you're watching this and you're looking at getting into it and you're new to match betting, you've got the first side of sign up offers. And I mean, Guy, how many bookies have you signed up to? 50?
About 40 or 50, yeah.
Yeah, so if you're looking at 15, you're signing up for those, that's going to take some time to work through that. You're going to need some capital to put into that to draw money out. So that alone is the main thing to focus on to kind of bring it out. And then once you've got all your sign up offers and you've got that up and running, the day-to-day kind of maintenance of daily offers, reoccurring offers, casino offers, that type of thing. This is what Guy is talking about, the initial time. That block is going to take time, but remember, there's guaranteed returns on that. You know what you're going to get. Bet 10 or open account with 10 quid and you'll get 20 or 30 back, etc. But this reoccurring stuff, you'll be looking at, in Guy's explanation, maybe about 15 hours a week on what he's done. From my side, to answer the question, David, I mean, it's very, very different for me. So I don't have a job. I work for myself, so I can do this full time. And I have experimented with a few days where I've been at it full time, and I've noticed that at my development level, it hasn't been worth it. I've been like scouring the internet trying to find offers that stand out. So for me, I've noticed it isn't worth it either. I think what Guy's explained of an hour a day during the week, and then maybe 4 hours on a busy Saturday and a couple of hours on a Sunday, is a fair assessment to what I've done over the last week. The week prior to that, I was experimenting with some days where I've spent longer on it, but I didn't really find it benefited me so much because of my limited knowledge and experience. So that I hope that answers your question, David. David asks, I think it's another good question as well, Guy. Are there any days where you guys haven't made a profit, Guy?
Yes. So I think there's been days where I've probably lost maybe 20 or 30 pound over the day. But I've always made a profit every week, and I've always made a profit every month. So it does average out, and I haven't had a loss-making day for a good few months now. I mean, a few months ago was probably the last time when I lost about £20 over on a day, because I'd done a £50 casino offer and then only made £30 from the sports bets offers that day. So I lost 20 quid. But yeah, never had a loss-making week, never had a loss-making month.
Yeah, great point. I haven't, again, maybe because I haven't been doing it long enough, but I haven't had a lost day yet. I've had lost bets for sure from errors, and you have to take occasional hits and gambles anyway, I think, if you want to earn more money. I think your point is spot on, though. It's about making a profit over the long run, and that when I've been doing it a little bit more the last few weeks now as an experiment, there have been some days I've looked back and I've made 25 quid and I thought, holy shit, I've been at that for a few hours and I made 25 quid. I could have nailed that in the equivalent time in Kindle straight away. But then the next day I spent 30 minutes to a day, and because the day before you were setting up offers, free bets, you then kind of walked into 80 to 100 pounds without really trying too much. So my thoughts on that are, don't take a day, because hopefully, if you're going to give this a go, you'll be doing it for more than a day, and you'll be doing it for over the course of the weeks and months, and measure your success, good or bad, high or low, based on a week or a month. And then you can start making the assessment of whether it's worth it moving forward, whether you should spend more time, whether you should help out family and friends, etc. So those are my thoughts on that. David, I hope that answers your question. I've got one final question. So anyone else, if you've got any questions for Guy, let me know. We're going to be wrapping this up soon. Guy, as a last question, what's your mid to long-term plan with match betting?
It's a difficult question, really, because there isn't really a long-term plan. I'm just going to chug on, keep doing what I'm doing. As I said, I think you'll definitely hit a ceiling on how much you can make per account, and no amount of putting extra time or really luck is going to go much above that. So I said you can scale it up by helping out friends and family, which I think I probably want to do. I probably want to scale it up a little bit more. But other than that, I'm going to just keep on chugging along with it. I'm sort of half writing a book, sort of a guide for it. I'm going to keep writing on the blog. I'm going to keep writing on my site and talking about what offers I do and how I do them. So if you are interested, make sure you go have a look on there and sign up for the mailing list. If I see a really awesome, very short-term offer, I will send out an email. I've done it before. Just say, right, guys, get on this. Here's how you do it. You make some quick money. And that's really the plan. I don't think this is never going to be my sole income, just because I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket, but I know some people do. So I'm going to just keep working on chugging away. If I can keep making an extra 1,000 to 2,000 a month, I'll be very happy with that.
Awesome. And Guy, I'm going to put a link. I don't think I'll put the link in the video right now, but I'll make sure I put a link after and put it in. I've got it in my blog as well, but you can find Guy at matchbettingguy.com, and you can sign up to his newsletter and receive those. So I haven't actually done that yet, Guy. I'm going to do that right after this call, because you don't send me this personal service of these awesome offers. So I'm gonna make sure I'm onto that. But are you on Twitter or anywhere else they can find you?
Only under early retirement Guy instead. So if you just search for, I think it's ERG Guy, I should show up on Twitter there. But for the match betting stuff, definitely go to matchbettingguy.com. I keep it very focused on that site to just match betting and only sort of interesting information for match bettors out there.
Awesome. Okay. Well, I don't think there are any other questions that have come in. I just want to thank Guy once again for your time. This is the second hour you've put in now. I personally have got a lot out of both calls. I've learned off both of them. So thank you so much for kind of sharing your information and experience. It's really useful for me. I'm sure other guys out there will think the same thing as well. So are we going to do another one? I don't know. Maybe not. I think that might be guided on other people. I think we've covered quite a lot on those two calls. I hope you guys have found them useful. If you've got any other questions after the call, or maybe you are watching this later on in the day after it's gone live, drop me a note and I'll try and answer. And if I can't, I will email it to Guy and see if he'll be so kind to answer those questions as well. But we just want to raise the awareness, get people into this, because Guy has made a lot of money from this so far. What, you over 10 grand now for 7 months? Over
10 grand, and that doesn't include this month, so it'd be over 11,000 now.
There we go. I mean, that's some good side income for now. Month 8, I think it is for you. First month, I think it was about 450 for me. I went just over 100 for the second month, which was rarely doing anything. And this month, I'm going after it a little bit more, like at least an hour a day. I'm getting up to 650 for the month, so I won't be a million miles off that grand figure, and I am going it alone. So is it worth it? I mean, in our experience, it totally is. I'm not just saying this because I'm a friend of Guy, but check out his website, follow him, subscribe to him. He has helped me out a lot, and I'm sure he can help you out too. But don't just bank on that. Go out and sign up to one of the membership sites, because there are many. Yeah, me and Guy, I've used one. Guy's used a couple. There are other ones out there. Don't necessarily stick to the ones that we're suggesting. But just try and find one. Have some guidance. Have someone that knows what they're doing. They've got the videos and talk you through it. So if you're going into this for the first time, it seems a bit dodgy and a bit ropey and risky and everything, just give it a go. Go in with with a couple £100 and see what you think. And if you've got any questions, I'm more than happy to answer any questions. I'm sure guys too. So I think that's it for me. Guys, is there anything else you want to say before we wrap up?
No, it's great. Thanks for your time, Hugh, and good luck, everybody.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks again, Guy. You're welcome, and hope it's useful, guys, and we'll see you very soon.
Cheers. Bye.